let's have a journey together and explore what freedom can mean and maybe might mean to you after this presentation. What is freedom? We all heard about freedom of speech. We know freedom of thought, the freedom to choose your religion or not if you don't like religions. Self-sovereignty, you have the right to your own body, your mind, what you eat, what you drink, what kind of drugs you use or don't use. It's up to you because that is freedom. You have geographical freedom, which Freud also will talk about a bit. Where to live, where to travel, where to work, that's up to you. Financial freedom, it's a popular word. If you stream YouTube, you will see a lot of advice for financial freedom. But what does it mean? For somebody, it means that you have enough money that you don't have to worry about money. For some people, it's maybe just a few $1,000s and you live somewhere where it's very cheap. Or for some people, it's real financial freedom that you never have to worry about money. Social freedom, what is accepted in your society or your family or religion or your belief system, that's something that will actually put a lot of stress on you if it's not, let's say, working out for you, if you feel that you're not part of the real society that you would like to because they don't, let's say, they don't let you do what or think what you want to think, then it's tough to be in that society. So social freedom is actually really important. If your family is not supporting your beliefs, then you might have a big problem. Political freedom, it's always something that makes people think of either one or two things. If we think of the governance model we're used to, that means the country we live in. Usually it's a democracy for most of us. Freedom-loving people likes to talk about anarchy, but which is the right one? Can you have anarchy or can you have freedom if you're in a government? That's something to think of, and you have to find your own spot between those because you can't have both. Love and freedom, those two words are probably the most strongest words in the English language. And I like to think of them as two sides of the same coin because love and freedom go together. If you love somebody, then you honor their freedom. You don't want to hinder their freedom. You don't want to diminish their freedoms. If you're a free person, you love freedom, then again, you don't want other people to be of less importance, or you don't want them to feel less free because of what you say or what you think. So love and freedom, they go together. It's actually coded within our DNA, you could say. It's like a hard-coded DNA piece where you have love and freedom within us. If you think of a child, yours or somebody else's, you can see this right away. If you try to kind of diminish their freedom without working with them on their grounds because they're small, they think differently. Maybe you say, no more candy today. What happens? You know, the lip goes. And then comes the scream, right? Because they're fighting for their freedom. They don't want to hear about any restrictions on their freedom. That's something I have experienced myself now and got me thinking really hard how to restrict your own kids. Elephants are chained when they are small babies. I don't know if it's true or not, but they say that you chain them to a tree or something big when they're small, and then they try to get free because that's what everybody wants. But they can't break the chain because they're small. But when they grow up, they're the basically biggest animal working on Earth. But they have lost their freedom because of that chain from their upbringing, and they actually capitulate to that freedom. So you can have an elephant on a string and they won't break it because they lost the love for those freedoms they had or should have had without that chain. This is something that society does to us too. It actually breaks down our love for freedom because that's the way today's society work. Actually, freedom is, I like to think, like a muscle. If you are strong, that's because you have been working out, you're doing progressive overload. Freedom is the same. If you don't nourish and feed your freedom, you don't work out your freedoms, then actually it will become weak. People who talk about freedom, they love to use the expression absolute freedom. What is this? Is it even possible? Well, if you live, like we talked with some people here yesterday, you could live in a desert for certain if you like to, where you go up in the mountains somewhere all alone, you have absolute freedom. But is that the way you would like to live because you don't have anybody near you and you live alone? In that sense, you have theoretical absolute freedom, but it's not the life you would like. Or if you think of the laws of physics, if you're fighting gravity, then usually gravity wins. You can't beat the laws of physics, or we still need water, food, shelter. And we need to obey to some kind of man-made laws, because if we are in a total anarchy, then you know what will happen. It's impossible to have a society or a group of people who are working towards a goal if you don't have any rules. So freedom is really important for us. We can understand that, and should be so strong in you that that's the thing that gives you power to live. It should be that way. That's why you get up in the morning. Could bring tears, both of sorrow and joy. I'm gonna share some thoughts of my journey to searching freedom. My background is that I was actually belonging to a very strict family, a religious family, and I was really caged in that sense. And when I was 30 something, I couldn't take it anymore. So I broke that cage. And after that, I was looking for something else. And to make it short, then I was traveling and joining different kinds of freedom families. And I ended up in Mexico, of course, of all places, where I also met with who I had followed for some years. And then we made a pact that we would work together with Liberland, and I'm trying to do my part here as well. And shout out to Bill, of course. Some pictures of freedom that I appreciate. Nature, that's where I feel good. You can understand the calmness of nature, and that makes me free. You achieve something when you climb the mountains, sometimes a bit risky, but it's your choice, it's freedom. Or if you just want to be alone, quiet, without any Wi-Fi or telephone signals, just a small bottle of whiskey in your tent. That's the way to go. Or you feel like on top of the world, because that's what freedom is. Or you eat wild blueberries and rakia on a mountain with a friend. Maybe it's a sandy beach, paradise beach for you. Maybe it's a shitload of money, financial freedom again. Maybe it's guns for those who appreciate that. Maybe it's something that you have achieved in life, something you broke to get free, maybe an addiction, bad relationships, or something else that you know of the best. It also could be an abrupt awakening like it was for me. We all know the story about Neo in Matrix, when he actually came to realize what freedom is and what it's not. Freedom has always been denied or restricted by governments, and it is the same today. That's something we have to talk about if we're talking about freedom. We have information wars since the 50s or 60s, when the television came to be. Somebody calls it brainwashing, somebody calls it television. There's always been restrictions and manipulation of info to contain people's freedom. And actually, not that I want to talk about it because it's quite negative, but we have to, because the last half decade, especially the last 3-4 years, it's worse than ever. We know, we felt it everywhere. There was no freedom of speech or thought because you were banned on social media. You could basically not say your thoughts. We couldn't travel. There was a lot of restrictions. 15-minute cities, if somebody knows, we have CO2 norms coming up, CBDCs. If you think it's in the far future, it's wrong. It's here and today. 93% of all central banks already started or have big plans for CBDCs, so it's not a myth. We have social score systems in some countries and coming up more governmental digital IDs, which are really restricting. So there's a lot of things coming, like dark clouds, like we see outside today. And that is the sad truth. There's a need for total dystopian control from many of the governments worldwide. and also the non-elected NGOs like UN, WEF, and others. There's for sure people there who wants to do good, but the way they restrict our freedoms is not good in any way. So let's switch the tone to positive things. How to be free in spite of those bad things that is happening. So we need to realize freedom is not for free. You have to do your part, the exercise, as we talked about. If we need to grow that freedom muscle, then you have to do it. Nobody's going to do it. Or our own freedom, because it's popular to fight for others. We know the different movements like Black Lives Matter. It should be All Lives Matter, but it's very popular to talk about this in the media. I have to go slow here. It's LGBTIQA+, a lot of different movements. There's nothing wrong with that, but they don't think of their own freedoms. They think of others' freedoms. And you don't have to be physically in a fight for gaining freedom. It's not the point. Sometimes you have to, but the idea is that you have to concentrate on your own freedom because nobody else will do that for you. So what can we do? Like with anything we want to achieve in life, we need to have a plan. And we're talking about your freedom. You have to define it, what it means for you, because it can mean anything. It's up to you. We need to think of financially how we're going to make it. How much does it cost to live the way we want to? What kind of tools do we have for freedom? One thing that it's really important for all people, it's communication. We're social beings and we're supposed to talk to each other. But when the tech wave hit us for some years now, there's a lot of ways to communicate and it's really easy. We all have our phones. You just tap and you can talk to anyone, anywhere. But when it comes to freedom, we have also seen that the tech giants are quite aggressive with your data and they can actually shut you down too. So you might want to look into those communication models that work also for us as freedom lovers, like maybe apps like Signal, Telegram. They're not known to be hacked or shut down. Maybe you should use a VPN when you're browsing the internet if that's important for you. Use browsers that are not tracking you all the time. And I'm happy to say that the Liberland Software Foundation is also working on different apps and also emails that will be decentralized, so we can use them for sure in the future at least, which is a really good thing. The blockchain, that's something that has made a lot of people free and it's providing us solutions for free banking. That's something we never had before on this earth. It is possible, for example, with BTC, Bitcoin. Everybody can use this globally and nobody can stop you. For those who are more into the cypherpunk movement, privacy chains, coins that cannot be tracked on the blockchain when privacy matters, that's also an option, which is a part of the freedom for those who are a little bit more advanced. Look around you. We have a community here. This is something which is also very important because it values the freedom like you do. Talks the talk, walks the walk, because there's no idea to chat about freedom online and then you go to sleep. But we all here, we show that we actually do talk the talk and walk the walk. Education, not in the sense that you have to go to different schools. We're talking about being aware of what is happening with our freedoms. Liberland, I want to show you something. This I just did for this talk. It says, be brave, be free. And Liberland, it's a part of this. And it's actually a great example because I can't know anybody else who has been working this hard as Vid and his team for freedom. That's truly nice. I think of Liberland as a little bit of an anarchist government. It's not the best, maybe, expression, but it's a middle ground between traditional governments and anarchy, which is basically the only way to go if you truly want to be free in a society, not somewhere in the mountains. If you're not part of Liberland, please feel free to join us. It's a freedom-loving community, and I consider it as my second family. And it also checks all the boxes we've been talking about here, because it respects freedom and liberty. We talked about the blockchain. That's a way to give freedom to actually all people who would like to have, in a way, for example, the banking we talked about. Decentralization is the only way actually to not get stopped, or just to feel free to express your true beliefs or thoughts. So there is a lot of tools. And with this in mind, I actually created a company, and I call it the Liberty Fund. It's a crypto investment fund where you can actually invest in crypto in different ways. I don't want to go technical here, but it's honoring your freedom and privacy. Because wealth, even if you don't say are hunting for wealth, then you can't really be free if you don't have any money. So it's a way of getting freedom faster than maybe otherwise. And as we spoke about before, blockchain gives the opportunity to deal with the problems we have in this traditional financial world, where the governments are actually stealing your money or tax you to death. This can be avoided with these technologies. And I can't talk about it too much privately because of privacy here in front of you, but you can always find me. We can talk about it one-to-one. That fund also does offshore structures, banking solutions, passports, and visas and real estate in those countries that actually love freedom like you do. So there's that possibility too. Nothing is free in life, and especially not your freedom. So freedom is a choice. Define your freedom, make a plan, and then execute. We can find all the tools and options we need, especially if you're in a community like this. Think just for a second what freedom means for you. You can close your eyes if you like to, and just think of what freedom means to you. So just embrace that feeling, and remember, be brave, be free. Start now, start here.